I know, right? Welcome, everyone. We are live today. Happy Independence Day, y'all. Right? Independence. Look at what that word means. Look at what it means spiritually. I don't even like using that word spiritually. It's so overplayed. Look at what it means truly in your life. To be independent. Independent. Think about it. You're getting to choose deliberately what you want to experience. The freedom to do it. Now, if that is not independence, I don't know what is. Hmm? It is such a beautiful thing when you get to choose who and what you want to be and do. Mm. So today, as you're out and about, because I know there'll be lots of treats and food and people, and some you love a lot, some you ain't can tolerate. So yeah, we'll be out doing things. But take a moment as you go through today to give thanks. Oh, what are you giving thanks for? The knowledge that you can choose and change your life. That's what you're giving thanks for. Ponder that for a moment. You mean you don't have to just keep going through the rigmarole all the time? Exactly. In the beautiful words of Neville Goddard, you can cushion your life. Even though you have to go through things, you can soften that because you now have the knowledge that you can apply to do it. But if you have the knowledge and you do not apply it, oh dear, then you suffer needlessly. So do you see now how powerful your choice is? So this day of independence, actually begin to walk in your freedom. Begin to truly walk in your freedom. So whatever it is today, you make sure that if you're feeling kind of discouraged, if you're feeling some kind of way, you get to choose. Do you want to continue feeling that way? And if you say yes, well, carry on. But if you say, no, I would like to feel better, the moment you acknowledge that you want to feel better, you know what happens? You start to feel better. You see how things are designed for your success? You see that? They are designed for your success. So what are you going to do? Begin to walk in your independence, in your freedom. You depend upon you. So you're an interdependent. So you're depending upon you, yourself, that inner being. That is what you depend upon. Well, for starters, it is most reliable. It is most reliable. It continually moves you. And it's there and it will do whatever you ask because it will give you what you are every single time. It can only give you what you are. So you see how reliable and trustworthy it is? So who else would you prefer to depend upon? There is no one to depend upon other than the self. The self, yes. So we think we can lean on this. We can lean on the government. We can lean on our mommy. We can lean on our daddy. We think we can do that? No, there is only one to which we can turn. And that is always within. It is your anchor. It is your anchor. It's also your kite. Oh, your kite, yes. You get to soar and experience beauty. Oh, Angela, you're so fanciful. Am I? I'm sitting here telling you, if you've got a problem, you also have the solution if you know that. So take full advantage of it. Don't sit and go through things over and over and over again because you're scared. That courage and strength that you require is within you. So how do you use it? Well, you identify what you're dealing with right now. Acknowledge it. Don't pretend it isn't there. Well, you might try to pretend, but it doesn't go away because you pretend. Acknowledge it. Oh my God, I'm having a hard time with ... See, that's the problem. What's the solution? Instead of ... I would prefer this. And as soon as you make the distinction of what you would prefer, you naturally begin to see it unfolding in your mind's eye. You begin to feel it in your body. Go with that. Because that's the key. You see it, you feel it, you do what? Experience in imagination what you would experience in reality. That is exactly what you do. You have a problem, see the solution in your mind's eye. The problem is telling you what the solution is. So you see what independence means? It means you are dependent upon you, that inner. You could call that inner God, you can call that inner whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, who is it? All anybody can see is your face. So it is you. It is you. You see, we're so concerned with rights and privileges. But the one right and the one privilege that we have, we say, it doesn't really matter. And we push it to the back burner. But I promise you, if you start to use that one right and that one privilege, well, all the other rights and privileges unfold because no one can give you what you withhold from yourself. Nobody can give you what you are withholding from yourself. Really, Angela, you think I would do that to myself? Yeah. The moment you see your problem and you complain, you're withholding the solution from yourself. Why? Because all you're talking about is the problem. And the more you talk about the problem, the bigger that bad boy gets. Why? Because it has your full attention. But if you would look at the problem, the solution is right there in it. If your problem is barefoot, what do you think your solution is? Well, it wouldn't be food, it'd be shoes. Don't complicate matters. If your problem is unemployment, what is your solution? Employment. If your problem is loneliness, what is the solution? Companionship. You see, but we want to complicate things, but if you're hungry as a problem, what's the solution? Food. You see, when you have a problem, the solution is always right there with you. Always. But if you don't use that right and privilege of seeing your solution, well, then you'll always have the problem. Why do you see, the scripture tells us the poor are always with you. Why do you think the poor are always with you? Because we keep seeing them as poor. We don't see them as anything else. If you keep seeing them as they are presently, how can they become it? How can they become anything else? Whatever you are looking at is what you will see. Can't see anything else. So if you want to look at something different, you have to change what you're looking at. And that's why I say exercise that right that you have been given. But Angela, I don't know how to do it. Every time I try, I feel like I fail. So every time you see, we have a lot of fancy words for things, don't we? Fail. How do you know you failed? You see, we use failure as this giant umbrella, when in actuality, look at what happened to you. Where did you have a misstep? Did you have a misstep in deciding what you wanted? Did you have a misstep in seeing what you wanted? Or did you have a misstep in being faithful to what you want? So where in there is failure? Because everything is showing you where the misstep is. So if you look for the misstep, you say, oh snap, I wasn't very clear on what I wanted. Let me go back. Let me make sure I know what it is that I want to experience. Let me go back and really draw it out. Let me see if I can make this picture any clearer. Once you do that and the picture becomes more clear to you, then you fix the problem, have you not? You didn't fail. We are so quick to say, oh my God, I failed. Everybody is so much better than me. Lord have mercy. I keep telling you, you have a right and a privilege to use the principles that have been given to you. And if you use the right and the privilege, which is to look at your present situation and determine if it is satisfactory. If it is, carry on. If it is not, then decide what is better. Yeah, but I can't decide what's better. The government's in charge. The who's in charge? What now? The what's in charge? Listen, I lay my life down or I pick it up. When you give away what is yours, you cannot now complain that somebody rules you. You were not meant to be ruled by anybody. You were always meant to be sovereign. That is why you have the ability to think and reason and to speak. But we don't take advantage of that, do we? Nobody can give you the words. They have to emerge from within you. Take advantage of that. How so? Do you know what you want to experience? It's a simple question. It is a most simple question. Don't be like my boy. I say, honey, what do you want to eat? I don't know. Whatever. And I'm sitting there like, if I make whatever, I know you. See, life is simpler when you answer the question, what do you want to experience? How would I know what you want to experience? That is your decision to make. But we want to give away that decision. Do you know, if you don't make up your mind about what it is that you want to experience, you are at the mercy to experience what has been assigned to you? I mean, it's just an observation. So become clear about what you want to experience. Paint a picture, if you will, about what you want to experience in the world. Get really clear on it. Because every time You add a little piece to the puzzle of what you want. Because you're building a picture, are you not? You're building an image. You see, we look at our life as little tiny things, as one incident here, one incident there. No, your life is a collage. Many experiences. And the experiences that make up your life is what build the picture of the type of life you want. So when you say, what kind of life do I want to live? I'm not asking about one specific experience. Paint the picture of the life you want. This is why people cut out pictures and build a vision board. They want the money so they can travel. They want the relationship. So they begin to put all of these little itty bitty components together that will give you one picture in the end. That is what you do. You see? Begin to answer the question, what kind of life do I want to experience? Well, look at the life you're presently experiencing. It's only a piece of your life, but we look at that piece as if it's the whole thing, and we linger there, and we end up living out that part over and over and over and over again. That makes up the picture of what? Hardship in your life. But we're out here in these streets talking about, oh my God, I want a soft life. You want a what now? A soft life? What the heck does that even mean? Why don't you paint the picture of what soft life means? But now we out here, oh, well, this person says this is what a soft life is. That person says this is what a soft life is. Am I asking you the opinions of others? Or am I asking you what it is that you want? Then you can answer the question, paint the picture of what it is. You're going to a seamstress and you say, make me a dress. And she looks at you and says, well, that is what I do. I make dresses. So she will ask you a series of questions. What is the occasion? That's the first question, is it not? What is the occasion? The occasion will dictate the type of dress. Oh, incoming. Welcome, sweet boy. Welcome. Listen, the occasion will dictate the type of dress. You see? So when you give her the occasion, now she will ask you more questions. Why would she ask you more questions? So that she can make the dress to your specifications. Because if the dress is made to your specifications, you are happiest, are you not? But if you come and you say, well, I just want a dress. And I say, well, I got some brand new burlap in the back. You're going to say, well, I don't want burlap. Well, then tell me what you want. It is your duty to know what you want. You cannot shirk your duty. If you do not know what you want, take the time, look at the situation that you're dealing with, and you will see exactly what you want. That's your power. That's your independence. If you don't know your own self, I can come along and know you for you? No, I can only judge you and presume what I think you should be. And then do you know what you'll do to me if I judge you and presume what you should be? Oh my God, you don't know me. How can you say that about me? I say it about you because you didn't say anything about yourself. Now do you begin to see the importance of independence? Do you see it? But we take our independence for granted. We think independence is whatever we think it is. You see, a country is a reflection of the people in it. As within, so without. Who's within the country? You think the law of correspondence just deals with It says, as above, so below, as within, so without. So then it is determined, those people, what's inside the home. Well, then it goes all the way back to what's inside the heart of a person. So don't look out on your country and say, oh my God, where do I live? You live within your own self first. So if you walk in your independence, being deliberate about what you want to experience, you will change you. You will assist and facilitate the change in your household. The change in your household will facilitate the change in your neighborhood. The change in your neighborhood will do what? Facilitate the change outward from there. But if the individual remains as they are, their outside world remains as it is. It is an attitude. It is an attitude. So this morning, are you independent? Are you independent? Only you can answer that question. So if you're independent, you better start knowing what you want. You better start experiencing in imagination what you would experience in reality, and then remain faithful to number 2. Do you see it? So today, begin to walk in your independence. Sorry, this boy is something else. Begin to walk in your independence. And he is very independent. He's hopping all about the place. Oh, yes, he is. Very independent, this one. Yes, I know. So you see, from the quote-unquote greatest to the least, we all have the power to be independent. So you're going to have to use it. What good is it to you if you don't use it? If I give you a packet of seeds and you don't plant them, all you're doing is walking around with potential. Use your potential. Exploit that bad boy. Use it. Your life will be fulfilled if you do that. See how it works now? Don't get it twisted. Now let us take a brief moment to welcome everyone into the space, because I'm not going to keep you long. Because it's a day, listen, it's a day to sleep in for y'all. It's a day to relax, take it easy and celebrate yourself. Who's here? Hey, the better man. Jeff, darling, I see you. And for the others on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I see you. It is good to have you here on this lovely, lovely Independence Day. Fan base who's in the house. Happy. Good to see you, darling. Hello, Minus. Miss Fawn. Afternoon Delight is kicking it with us. Flo Smiles, my beautiful KZ. Miss McQueen, and the lovely Oracle Treehouse. You're all with us today. Thank you so very much for spending this Independence Day. Well, starting your Independence Day with this community. Thank you. And today I trust that you will be emboldened to know what it is you want to experience in the world. Oh, but Angela, how does that stop the war? Who do you think is fighting each other? Invisible people are fighting each other? No. People are fighting each other. because the perception has been skewed. Somebody came along and said, "You're going to let them do this to you? Shouldn't you stand up for yourself?" And then that same person whispered, "Oh, they don't respect you. They're plotting against you. Look at them. You can't trust them." And what do you think happens? A fight ensues because nobody took the time to question what they heard. They just took it at face value and ran with it. And because you're so busy, you see, use the law of correspondence here in this situation. We think it is happening in the world. It is happening within each and every one of us. You think, right, that you're fighting. Who are you fighting? Yourself. And because you're so busy fighting yourself, you don't see what's really going on. Well, what are you fighting? You're fighting your past. You're fighting against who likes you and who doesn't like you. You're fighting against all the time. And you wonder why you're exhausted. You're fighting your own internal shadow. But if you see it, that it is a shadow being cast into the world because of how you see it, and you see it differently, well, then the shadow disappears. So in other words, that scripture again, no one can take my life from me. I lay it down or I pick it up. You don't have an enemy other than the one you create within yourself. And if you create an enemy within, oh, as within, so without. Oh, but they don't like me. See what you're fighting against? And you're so busy fighting internally that you don't see what's being taken from you. Your independence is being taken from you because you're so busy fighting apparitions, shadows. Always turn within. That is your power. Turn within, because that's the only way you're living anyway, from the inside out. But you've been convinced to look out there. Out there does not exist other than what you put out there. So what are you going to put out there? A new attitude. Listen, you put a new attitude out there long enough, it is not the spoon that bends. It is your mind. Anyway, here's the process one final time before I play the bowl. Get really clear about what you want. Listen, the question is never, do you think it's possible that I could have that? If you can see it in your mind's eye, that is what makes it possible. When you go to the barber and he says, "What are we doing today?" and you tell him, "What do you think?" He saw what you wanted him to see so that he could cut your hair in the way you wanted it done. That's what you're doing. Hmm? You're projecting the image of the haircut you want by telling your barber or your stylist what you would like. But if you do not convey that image clearly, you will come out either with not enough or too much. So take your time to explain what it is. See, sometimes we're willing to take the time to explain to the barber or the stylist or the seamstress or the tailor. Sometimes we're willing to do that. But what about doing that for yourself? So you see, step one, get a very clear image of what you want in life, because you know when you have the image, it can be recreated. So that means it is possible. It is possible, or else your barber would never be able to cut your hair in the way you wanted. So what makes it possible? The fact that you came in knowing what you wanted, and you painted him a picture. And you know, sometimes you bring a phone in. You know, that's that meme. You show the picture of what you wanted versus what you got. You see how clear you have to be? Because sometimes things get lost in that little tiny space of wanting what you want and getting what you got instead. So that's step one. What is it that you want? Be clear about it. And the moment you begin to engage with what you want in your mind's eye, you begin to experience in imagination what you would experience in reality. And then you just remain faithful to that. And then whatever action you need to take will come out of that. You don't get to choose the action. Oh, Lord. Angela, what you saying? I'm saying you do not get to choose the action. You choose what you want to experience, and that is what determines the action you should take. As within, so without. But what are we doing? We're looking out in the world and trying to act. How are you possibly supposed to know how to act when you've not made a decision? As I told you, when you go to the seamstress and the first question she asks is, what's the occasion? Well, the occasion will dictate the type of dress she will make for you. Just like if you go and you say at carnival time, you say, well, I want this kind of costume. Carnival means what? Little to no clothes. So the thing, the decision that you make determines the action that you take. So don't try and find the action first. The action is the effect. The action is the effect. What do you want? And it will bring about the action for you to take. It will, for the skeptics in the back, if you say, I want some Saskatoon berries so I can make a Saskatoon rhubarb jam. Well, what kind of berry are you going to plant? Surely not a raspberry bush. You chose what you wanted to eat. So now you have to plant the corresponding bush. Raspberries? Saskatoon berries? You say you want to eat corn. Well, honey, you will never be able to plant potatoes and get corn. So you see, the action that you're going to take is determined by the choice that you make. If you don't know what choice to make, life is gracious. And she says, you don't know the choice you want to make? Let me make it easy. How do you want to feel? That's what she says to you. She says, tell me how you want to feel. And when you tell by experiencing in imagination what you would experience in reality, oh, then you will know what choice to make, because that choice will match, it will correspond to the feeling. So you see how gracious life is? But the first thing we want to say is, oh my God, life is hard. Is it? If you decide that life is hard, that's the seed you have planted, and life must be hard. As I've always said, only one thing in life is truly meant to be hard, but I digress. I digress. So what are you going to do today? Hmm? Hey, Malik. It's good to see you back on Fanbase. Yes. Listen, take your time to decide what you want. And because you've taken the time to decide what you want, you have now made it possible. And because it is possible, remain faithful to what? That it is possible. Why? Because all things are possible to them that believe. Well, you think that's just scripture? Where do you think it came from? As within, so without is where it came from. Hmm? So take your time, decide what you want, and you will know how to act. Because as soon as you make the decision, you will begin to experience in imagination what you would experience in reality. Just stay faithful to that, and you will know exactly what to do. Well, how will you know what to do? You'll feel, and you'll say, oh my God, what a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. The signs have to follow you. The fruit has to follow you. Eh. So it's not a coincidence that you have an apple tree in the yard and you can only pick apples. That's not a coincidence. It is inevitable. So all I'm trying to get you to see is make a decision. Decide what it is you want to experience in your life. And when you make that decision, you have no choice but to feel a particular way about it. The feeling will match. Well, then stay faithful to the feeling and knowing that what? Well, I did give this thing life and it is inevitable because I planted it, so I have to reap it. That's your faith. In what? What you did. How are you going to, look, how are you going to say to yourself, this is what I want, but I don't think it's possible? Well, you'll be displeased, wouldn't you? So without faith, it's impossible to please God. And you want to be pleased, don't you? Well, then, have faith in knowing that, oh, I planted that, I got to reap it. Let me tell you something. We had hail the other night, and I looked at that window and I said, ooh, preserve my apples. I don't care. I don't care. Preserve my apples. And let me tell you something. I went outside. There's leaves all in the front. My rose bushes made it, but my chamomile did not. My ferns, ooh, they're a hot mess. But my apples, there's a little bit of leaves, but not a single apple is on the ground. The rhubarb, it was smashed to smithereens, but not an apple is on the ground. That little tiny tree in the front had berries on it. They're inedible. The birds eat them. They're all on the ground, but not my apple tree. You see, you have to have faith in what it is you are doing. So when you make a decision, you say, this is what I am that. When you make that decision, how are you going to make that decision and then say, well, I hope it happens? Without faith, it is impossible. Miss Stevenson, hello, darling. It's good to see you, stranger. I better hustle because I got a call at 6:30. Yeah, but 6:30 my time, 8:30 their time. But you get what I'm telling you, right? The moment you decide, you right there and then, when you make that decision to say, I am that, and you can see it in your mind's eye and you're clear about it, that's where their faith is. You say, I did this, so it has no choice but to show up now. And what do? You walk around in the knowledge that, hey, I planted it and I have to reap it. So does that mean you're out there digging it up to see if it's taken root? Nope. You already know that it has. You planted it. So you go about your day, you do your chores, you do what needs to be done, you live because you know the inevitability of what it is you planted. See your faith? And without faith, it is impossible to be pleased. But because we say without faith it is impossible to please God, we think we're talking about some man in the sky. Nah, honey, you're talking about the man in the mirror. But I digress. You know how excited I get? You are talking about, see, the next time you go out there in this world, you'll remember what I said. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Who is God? Not the man in the sky. God is the man in the mirror. And when I say man, I did not forget woman. I'm talking about humanity as a whole. It is just a shortened form. You know, I saw this thing the other day. This little girl, she was saying to her mother, she's like, why does everybody always say man this, man that? What about woman? I said, you better stop this foolishness right now and explain to this child that man is just human for short. It is just an easier way of saying man and woman. You just say man and be done with it because you're talking about human. Remember, you train up a child in the way it should go and it will not depart from it. Teach. Teach. Do you understand? But, you know, we take offense. I say man and you think, oh my God, what about women? What about women? You think there's only male? There can't just be male. There has to be female as well. There is cause and there is effect. There's no voids. So no, if I say woman, I'm not forgetting man. You see what happens to us? We walk around with this disdain within us for our fellow humanity. And we see men and we're like, oh, there he goes. And we see women and we go, oh, these hoes ain't loyal. And then we wonder why the world is in chaos and up in arms. Look at what we're creating. Men and women are one. Men and women are one. Right? So when you know that when you're looking at the person in the mirror, if you have disdain for the other, you have disdain for self, because there is no other. So when we divide ourselves, you see, that's why the conflict is there, you know, because of the division. We are trying to divide what is oneness. You cannot divide oneness. It must remain whole. If it does not remain whole, chaos ensues because we're trying to break the law. You can't break law. It will break you. This is why man is fighting against woman, woman is fighting against man. So today, if you want reconciliation in your life, in any area of your life, recognize that there is but one. Just one. Scripture would tell you, love your neighbor as yourself. Why would it say that? Because there is only the self. So if you would have unity within, as within, so without. Conflict in your house? The conflict has only spread to your house. You've infected your house with your inner conflict. Well, the great news is you can also heal your house. By doing what? Healing your inner conflict. Anyway, you do know I tend to prattle on. Let me get the bowl. So this morning, as you hear the bowl and bird song, what you gonna do? Decide what it is that you want to experience in reality. Once you make that decision, you start to see it in your imagination. Then remain loyal to it. That's so easy. Well then, do you know what makes it easier? practice. Let's get the bowl. I do love you, you know. Genuinely, I do. Let me get that bowl. Oh, there he goes. You might get birdsong. Right on cue. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. There it is. My baby is right on cue. He knows his role well, huh? Thank you all for being here on this lovely, lovely Independence Day. Normally on Fanbase, I would have group coaching. But today, message me if you have a question and I will respond to you. I have to finish this project. So I need to keep my time focused so that I can focus. But I'm not leaving you hanging. So just slide into my DMs if you have a question. And that is also another thing that is for Facebook. No, YouTube. For the YouTube members, if you're a member on YouTube, submit your question. I've been telling you guys that for the longest time. If you have a question, submit it. Just slide into my DMs and I will do a video response. Not with who submitted the question, but with the question and the answer. Not because I know the answers, but because the law is what it is. Right? So, anywho, I'm late for this call. So, let me leave you now, but I'll see you tonight. Is it He Wakes in Me tonight? Oh, I think so. That might be the. Yes. Thank you for reminding me it's He Wakes in Me. Little bit. Thank you. He always has to have the last word. Wisdom Almighty. Hey. Miss Crenshaw. It's good to see you, darling. All right, y'all. I'll see you tonight if you're awake at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll read He Wakes in Me. At least I think that's the one it is, because it was He dreams in me, He stirs in me. So I think it's He wakes in me. Oh, this is exciting. I'll see you tonight. Much love to each and every one of you. Toodaloo.